Days or Whiskey Wednesdays, Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Tavern 180, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations, now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everidge. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, into the Adam Carriker Show. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I am live in studio, the dawn of a new era. Lost track of the amount of days a while ago. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Come join yours truly. You can drop in, stop by the studio if you'd like. You can always tune in, of course. All right, theticketfm.com, all the social medias, YouTube, TV, radio, anywhere you find your ticket information. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Adam Carriker Show, the show that gives you unique insights, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bye week. And I got to be honest, it couldn't have happened at a more perfect time. I explained in the last show that I did on Tuesday. Also, Wednesdays, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Steve Taylor, former All-American quarterback, drops that knowledge. Basically, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch and come join myself 4 days a week. Steve Taylor on Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time here on the ticket. We're going to talk, obviously, a whole lot of Husker football, Husker sports. College football is in my main repertoire as well. All right, Husker football, Husker sports, college football. Those are my three main things, and then sports as a whole. All right, so that's obviously what we're going to talk about most days, but it's the bye week. And I explained last show why I thought it was a perfectly timed bye week for the Huskers, and actually their second bye week, which I hope they get 2 bye weeks every year going forward in college football. I also think they should do it in the NFL. They're eventually going to go to an 18-game season because they don't care about player safety. It's a facade. And I never had a problem with that. I was like, all right, just pay us more. You're going to make more, pay us more, and give us a second bye week. Maybe shorten camp a little bit too. That was the only things I ever asked for when I was a player, and those things were brought up. Well, they're playing 17 games, no extra bye week yet. They'll eventually get to these things. Why? Because they can make more money. And if I'm an NFL owner, I'm being honest with you, what's wrong with the second bye week? It's another week of games without having to pay my players for another week of games. So I'm going to make the TV money, the revenue, all that stuff with my players. They're not playing an extra game because not everyone's going to have the same bye week. So there are going to be teams playing, and we can still make that extra revenue. So it's always kind of made sense to me. I never had an issue with it. But in college football, the Big Ten and the SEC and the slate of games that some of these teams are playing, all right, are pretty crazy. Now, one of the more, Georgia's got a pretty insane schedule this year. It's one of the reasons I actually did not have them in the SEC championship game at the end of the year. I do think they're one of the 2 best teams in the SEC, but their schedule was kind of crazy. But I'm actually going to go to Florida. And I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again. They just got done playing UCF on the road, I might add, an in-state rival. Then they're going to play top 10 Tennessee. Then they're going to play Kentucky. Then they're going to play a top 5 Georgia team, a top 5 Texas team, probably a top 15 LSU team. They're both, Ole Miss is actually top 10. LSU's top 15. So top 15 LSU, top 10 Ole Miss. And then their in-state rival, even though they absolutely suck this year, they're still an in-state rival in Florida State. So let me repeat that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Their last 8 games include 2 in-state rivals, 1 team who actually almost beat the number 1 team in the country, lost by 1 point, Kentucky, lost by 1 point to Georgia, then pulled off an upset the following week. But then you have Georgia, top 5, Texas, number 1, actually, LSU, top 15, Ole Miss, top 10. So if you want these matchups, and you want these marquee matchups, and you want to kind of try to sort of somewhat un poquito preserve the regular season and what has always made college football unique to every other sport, and the fact that the regular season actually matters, you got to have guys who are healthy. You've got to have guys who are recovered. You got to have, I think, an extra bye week is apropos going forward. And like 2 bye weeks going forward in college football in perpetuity, I think is a good idea. Especially if you're going to start some of these teams, if you want to win a national championship, you have to play a minimum of 16 games. Well, it's not entirely true because you don't have to win your conference championship. You don't actually have to play in the conference championship game to get in the playoff. Topic for another day. But let's say you play in your conference championship game. There's a 13th game. Then let's say you have a first-round bye. All right, so you automatically are going to be in the second round where there's 8 teams left. So you'd have to play the quarterfinal, the semifinal, the national championship. 16 games. What if you don't have a first-round bye? Now you've got to play 17 games. So you've got a much tougher schedule, day in and day out, at least for the Big Ten and SEC. And then you're going to play a half again of another season. Most teams play 12 games in a season. Now you got to play upwards of 16 to 17 games. I'm a fan of an extra bye week. Not a diatribe I planned on going off on today, but there you have it. So I digress. My point is simply this. Nebraska's first bye week is timed perfectly halfway through the season. Their next bye week is timed perfectly halfway through the second half of the season after you've been beat up for 9 to 10 weeks. But when you have a show like this, you're kind of like, all right, it's the bye week. What are we going to talk about? We never lack for things to talk about on this show. I actually text Jake, and he can verify this, or he can lie and deny it, but I don't think he will. This whole schedule of like, hey, this is what Monday should look like. Segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. Tuesday, segment 1, 2, 3. And I pretty much had everything laid out except for like 1 or 2 segments on Friday. And Friday is the easiest because there's stuff that accumulates throughout the course of the week, and you pile it onto Friday if you couldn't get to it Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, in my case. But it's like, what are we going to talk about? Oh, my Lord. October 12th is 2 things. It is the weekend, if you're a college football fan, that we have been looking forward to basically since June 1st, the summer. It is also the most popular weekend. Did you know this, Jake? In the entire fall. First of all, did I send you that text? You gonna back me up here?
Oh, you did. Yep.
Okay. All right. He texted me back after daddy duties, which I appreciated, at like 11 or midnight. But he's like, hey, I had to play daddy. I'm like, dude, I get it, man. I got like 84 kids at home. Dude, I understand daddy duty. At least mine are out of diapers. Are yours out of diapers? How old are they?
He's 3. He's still, about a half a year out of diapers.
All right. I still remember when my youngest was done with diapers, 10 years. It had been 10 straight years. We had been changing anywhere from 1 to 4 kids' diapers. And when I say we, I mean my wife. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. She's changed, out of every 20 diapers, I guarantee she changed 19, so 95% of them. Okay, I will give her all due credit. I have no problem with that. But when my youngest, who's now 7, Jordan, was done with diapers, it was like I took a moment and just like got on both knees. And this is a true story, by the way. I don't even think my wife knows because I never told anybody. Like nobody was in the house at the time when I finally realized she was potty trained. She was done. I took a moment, went on both knees, put my hands in the air, and I just said, thank you, Lord. I did. This is a true story. Nobody can verify this because it was just me in the house. Thank you, Lord. And for about 10 seconds, I just sat there in the peace of no more diapers in my future. And no, I will not be changing my grandkids' diapers at any point. Whenever that day comes, sorry, that is not daddy's duty or grandpa's duty at that point in time. But when you come back to the whole bye week thing, what are we going to talk about and what are we going to do? All right, it really wasn't hard because October 12th is number 1, the most loaded weekend of college football games that we have easily up to this point and probably throughout the entire season until rivalry weekend / championship weekend, Thanksgiving and the first weekend of December. Do you know what else it is, Jake? Do you know what else October 12th is and this weekend is?
No, I'm college football focused. I don't know.
It's the most popular weekend of the entire fall to have a wedding. So it's the perfect weekend for college football to be loaded if you're a Husker fan because the Huskers have a bye. So it's perfect. Fall weddings. All right. I understand the fall is a beautiful time of year. I understand my favorite months are typically like September, October, just the weather. It's it's not winter yet, but the weather, you got football season going on. October rolls around and you're starting to get into the beginnings of Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. And it's the most wonderful time of the year, is just right around the corner. I completely understand why fall weddings are popular to a degree. But if you are a football person, like if I go back to being a bachelor, Jake, go back to being a bachelor, and you're madly in love with this woman, and she says, we're getting married on October 12th. And you're like, babe, it's the fall. Like it's college. You don't even know the games that are on it yet. You don't know the basket has a bye. You just assume they're playing. You assume it's a regular weekend with 2 to 3 really good games and such. And you approach her and you're like, babe, or honey. My dad calls my mom Toots. And I asked him one time why. He goes, I have no idea. Just said it once and it stuck. Toots, whatever you call your significant other. It's a football weekend. It's college football. It's NFL. You got high school on Friday nights. Like, is there a way we can do it in the spring? Even late spring, early summer, before humidity gets to around 1 million and it's like 100 degrees. Like there's a window in the spring where it's absolutely beautiful. There's other times of the year too, by the way, where it's absolutely beautiful. If you're going to do it in a church, what does it matter? Okay, you can just do it in frickin' August when it's like 95 degrees and 195% humidity. What does it matter? It's only if it's an outdoor wedding that it affects it a little bit. And she is just unreasonable and won't change the wedding date. What does that mean to you, Jake? If she just wouldn't, did you face this at all, by the way? I should ask.
No, a summer wedding.
Summer wedding. Was the fall ever brought up?
I had family members tell me they weren't going to come if it was on a Husker football Saturday.
All right, already some of my favorite people I've never met. Your family members who said that. Just FYI, my wife and I, Angie, got married in December, and it was right after I graduated. So literally, I graduated. Let me get this right. A bachelor party was Friday. Saturday, I graduated. Sunday, got married. I didn't have to go to practice that day. I was kind of surprised. I almost thought they'd make me go because I was still playing for the Huskers. And a week later, we were in Dallas, Texas, playing Auburn in the Cotton Bowl. So that was technically our quote unquote honeymoon. All right. So it was a unique story just because of the time and the time frame with which we chose to get married, when we got engaged, when it all worked out, because we knew she still had a semester of college left. We knew I was going to be in Texas training for the draft. And then we had no idea once the end of April hit and I got drafted where I was going to be. So it was like, how do we plan a wedding? So we did it in December, like a week before Christmas. It was mayhem. Midterms also were that same freaking week. So you had midterms and everything else. And so we're like, this is insanity, but this is when we're going to do it because I don't know how and when else we're going to do it after that. And so that's how it worked out for us. So the fall wedding thing was not an issue. All right. And we obviously had an indoor wedding as well. So you didn't face this issue. I'm not going to put you in the position if your wife had said, let's say you're in an alternate universe and you're engaged. And whoever that person is in this alternate universe, who has nothing to do with your current spouse, to be very clear, said, I want to get married on October 12th. And I will not move the date from a fall wedding. It has to be a fall wedding. What would your reaction have been, Jake?
Well, I would still have to go and look and see if it's because I'm one of those family members too. I have to go look.
You are one of those family members.
Well, it's one of those deals. I mean, you could, and I've done it. I've been to a fall wedding when there's a Husker football game on. You can get me away. You can get me there, but I'm gonna be on my phone. I'm gonna be looking for the TV, and my focus is not gonna be on your wedding. It's gonna be on Husker football. So, if I looked ahead and I suppose I could sacrifice this great, college football, as long as it's not Husker football. I suppose I could get married this week. In fact, I'm going pumpkin patching. I got to go to the pump. That's the other thing that with fall weddings is, sometimes when you're a family guy, you got to go to a fall pumpkin patch. So that's what I'm doing this week.
That's different. When it involves your kids and directly your family, and a pumpkin patch isn't an event that takes hours like a wedding does, especially if you're going to go to the reception. If you just want me to show up to the wedding for 45 minutes and I can bounce, hey, not as big a deal. But you expect me to show up to the reception and I'm supposed to be excited and dancing and, like you said, paying attention. The odds of that aren't great. My reaction would be, you must not love me that much. That's how I would view it. I mean, if you know anything about me.
You start Bridezilla, turn Bridezilla on them.
Oh, Groomzilla.
Yeah.
Groomzilla up in this piece. I'm telling you, you must not love me that much because you don't know enough about me to understand what this means. Here's my other counter argument in all seriousness. Okay, we're having some fun, but in all seriousness, there's 12 weekends in the fall. And I don't think the 2 bye week thing continues after this year. I won't know for sure. I think it's just the way Labor Day landed with Thanksgiving weekend. There was an extra weekend in there. Now, I've always thought, why don't we just make week 0, okay, the first weekend, and then you can always have 2 bye weeks no matter what. Topic for another day, so to speak. But my point is, there's realistically 12, maybe 13 weekends where there's college football. Okay, and it's going to be a big deal. There's 52 weeks in the year. I'm just asking that you pick one of the other 40 weeks, one of the other 40 weekends. There's 365 and a quarter days in a year. I don't have to sit here and watch Thursday and Friday night football, even Sunday football. The games don't really matter until week 18. Week 18, division titles and the number 1 seed is on the line, and then the playoffs matter when games really matter, okay? For now, they haven't destroyed college football's regular season just yet, although they've given it a big kick in the pants. But they haven't destroyed it yet. Like the NFL, ask the New York Giants. Eli Manning has been 9-7 back when they played 16 games twice and beaten Tom Brady twice when his Patriots had a better record. One year they were 18-0, had just beaten the New York Giants in the Meadowlands the last week of the regular season. Didn't matter. All that mattered was what happened Super Bowl Sunday. My point is, for now, the regular season still matters in college football. We expand this thing much past 14 teams. It's a different conversation because we're going to 14 teams in 2 years. There's 365 quarter days in a year. So let's say there's 12 regular season games. Who knows if you play in a championship game? Who knows if you get to a playoff game? What most teams should be able to count on is 12 regular season days, and a bowl game. I'm just saying, pick one of the other 352 and a quarter days of the year. That's all I'm saying. Is that not reasonable, Jake?
I think that's very reasonable.
So to be clear, nothing really brought this on. There's nobody in my life inviting me to fall weddings. That's why they're still in my life. It's a major reason anyways. And I think they know better. But it's one of these things where I have people around me who have been a little frustrated. Not that they're getting invited to things. Okay? Much like me, I get invited to things, but it's like there's a time and a place, and I think people are aware of that. But I have to be the voice for the voiceless, CM Punk. The voice of the voiceless. They don't have a microphone in front of their face, and I do. And I'm sitting here, I'm a man of the people. I'm going to speak for the guys out there, maybe some of the women. By the way, if you're one of those women, you need to be getting a hold of these guys that are frustrated about these fall weddings. That's a pairing that needs to happen. I'm the voice of the voiceless, and I'm going to stand up for the guys and the people, the ladies too, if this speaks to you as well. Fall weddings, you can have them, but don't expect us to be at them. There are 352 and a quarter other days of the year when you can expect us to show up. You realize I just included like Christmas and my birthday too? Yeah, I have prioritized college football Saturdays or game days over Christmas and my birthday. So maybe 350 days a year, okay? I still think that's a large number. All right, I'm just standing up for those who maybe don't have a mic, and I'm being the voice for the voiceless. And you are welcome to have your fall weddings. You are welcome to not expect us to be there, and we will still love you just as much. Hopefully that understanding is reciprocated. And if it's not, that is okay. Sometimes you just have to understand that you don't understand, and that's all that needs to be understood. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got that.
I feel like it made sense.
Yeah, very clear.
All right. Honestly, it was something that I've heard, something that was for fun, but also very, very serious. Like I'm dead serious. You can invite me, but I'm not coming. Especially like Jake said, if it's a Husker game day or a game day like this Saturday. I mean, the matchups this Saturday. I know they've been talked about by other shows, but you got Texas, Oklahoma. I know Texas is a 14.5-point favorite, but they're two top 20 teams. A lot of people consider this their favorite rivalry in college football. It's always one of the most exciting games to watch, right? You got Penn State versus USC. One of those two coaches, James Franklin and Lincoln Riley, is finally going to get a quote-unquote big win because they're both kind of labeled as the guys who can't get the big win. In fact, did you know James Franklin and Penn State are 25-0 versus teams not named Ohio State and Michigan over the past couple of seasons? They're 0-4 versus those same two teams. All right, and Lincoln Riley struggled to get defensive consistency from any of his teams. Going back to Oklahoma, USC has improved this year. It's hard to go anywhere but up when you saw them last year. But it's a matchup of two of the top, I would say, 15 brands in college football. USC is probably top 5. Penn State's probably top 15 all time as far as just brand recognition. But you got number 4, Penn State versus a team that's teetering, 3-2 USC. This is a must-win for the USC Trojans. Then you got Ohio State, number 2 versus number 3. Ohio State traveling 2 time zones to go to Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. I bet in that place. It's loud. It's one of the top, only like 55,000 people. It's one of the top 5 loudest stadiums in the country. And then you got number 9 Ole Miss versus number 13 LSU. This is a loaded weekend. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to take a break. When I come back, former black shirt, former Husker, the man who was a senior when I was a freshman. He was teaching me when I was a pup, and now he's heavily involved in the community, including teammates, he's got a weekly show on Tuesday nights, I believe, 6 to 7, 5 to 6. All right, teammates here on 93.7 The Ticket. Mr. Des Moines Adams is going to join us when we come back, and then we're going to close out the show talking about some of those big-time football games from this weekend. Real quick, if you agreed with my first segment, hey, more power to you. If you didn't, it's okay. We can disagree and still love each other. All right, just don't expect me to be there in the fall. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting book. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln. It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals and everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Tottenham plays West Ham at 6:30 a.m., and then Newcastle plays Brighton at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal plays Bournemouth at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Man City takes on Wolves, while Liverpool plays Chelsea to try to stay atop the EPL standings. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8th and B.
When your home fills up with family, Allo Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Allo Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Allo at 866-481-2556 or visit allofiber.com.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. F Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
Landmark Implement helps you put dirt in its place with increased accuracy and greater speed thanks to the John Deere Smart Grade. This fully integrated 3D grade control system boosts job site productivity and reduces labor costs with fewer passes and less wasted material, meaning more bids won and higher margins. No masts, no cables, just clear views of the job site. Visit your local Landmark Implement today and discover the profit-boosting power of the Smart Grade and experience the Landmark difference.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. Demo, Des Moines Adams, is actually going to be joining us in studio. He'll be here in a couple of minutes. So let's go ahead. Let's talk Ohio State, the game of the weekend. Maybe the game of the year, we'll see. Georgia-Bama was pretty awesome. There's been some other pretty awesome games. Been in one of the most exciting years of college football, if you think back to 2018, then back to 2007, the last time a two-loss team won the national championship. By the way, it was LSU. They thumped Ohio State in the national championship game in the Sugar Bowl that year. And then I think previously it had been all the way back to like the 1930s since a two-loss team had won. This has been a fun year so far. I'd be shocked if anybody goes undefeated. It's very likely we could, especially with 12 teams getting in the playoff and potential chaos happening in the playoff. I'm still not convinced it's going to happen, but it's been a balanced year in college football, more so than we've had in a while. All right, but a two-loss team, maybe a three-loss SEC or Big Ten team gets into that 11 seed because the 12 seed is going to go to the G5 team, and they go on a run. You never know. I remember, it might have been 07. I can't remember the exact year, but USC ended up with 3 losses, beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl, and ended up like the number 2 or 3 team in the country that year. So you never know what can happen. College football, it's why I love it. It's my favorite sport under God's hot sun to watch. But let's talk Ohio State. Let's talk Oregon before Demo gets in here and he joins us. All right, the number 1 scoring defense in the entire country is the Ohio State Buckeyes. They returned 8 starters from a season ago. The 21st scoring defense in the country is Oregon. Oregon is a team, neither one of these teams have been all that aesthetically pleasing to the eye. In defense of Ohio State, they haven't had to. They haven't played anybody. They haven't been forced to. I guarantee they're not showing all of their cards versus like Akron and Central Michigan. Chip Kelly's not out there running his A-plus offensive game plan. I guarantee they've held things close to the vest, and they're going to show some things this weekend because they haven't had to this point. They haven't showed all year. When you look at their quarterback, all right, he's a guy that you haven't seen many quarterback runs from. This is a guy who can run with the ball. Talking about Will Howard of Kansas State. But he hasn't had to. You got Quinshon Judkins, who was considered the best back in the SEC last year. Travion Henderson, who's probably considered the best back going into the Big Ten this year. Might have been Donovan Edwards, but he's not even starting for Michigan, which I don't understand. In fairness, I haven't watched enough of Michigan specifically to be able to give, any sort of coherent understanding explanation as to why he's not starting. I always thought he was better than Blake Corum. He had the big play potential, more so than any back they've had. But that's a topic, again, for another day. I just can't believe he's not starting. But they have the 2 best running backs, one from the SEC, the Big Ten, now in the same backfield. You got a running quarterback. They have one of the best rushing offenses in the country. But they haven't had to show much. I'm curious to see how much Will Howard runs the ball this weekend. All right, this is the guy, grad transfer from Kansas State. 235 pounds, 6'4", 235 pounds. What do they do with him? Does Chip Kelly go up tempo? Does he go no huddle? Does he go back to snapping the ball every 18 seconds like he did at Oregon? Scott Frost learned from Chip Kelly, but when he went to UCF, people talked about how fast the UCF offense was. They snapped the ball every 24 seconds. We haven't seen any of that from Ohio State because we haven't had to. I'm curious to see what the first drive looks like. The first 16. Coaches spend so much time game planning those first 16. Nebraska has dominated the first 16 plays of the game this year. Outside of UTEP, every other game, and Purdue, every other game, the other 4 games, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, like right down the field. 3 straight games where they scored on their first drive of the game. It's the in-game adjustments the Huskers offensive coaching staff has to improve on. But we'll get into more of that next week. You look at Will Howard, I should mention, has the one concern you've got. He's looked pretty good this year throwing the ball. That was always the concern. But he has 3 straight games where he's thrown a pick. So you got to be careful of that, especially on the road, going into Autzen Stadium. You look at Oregon. This is a team, outside of the Oregon State game, hasn't been uber impressive. Easily could have lost at home, only won by a field goal versus a very good Boise State team who may have the Heisman Trophy winner in their backfield. I spoke about him on Tuesday. He's on pace to break Barry Sanders' record. Anybody on pace to break a Barry Sanders record, if they stay on pace, they're going to be in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Whether he's hoisting up the trophy or not, we'll see how the second half of the season goes. But Oregon's a team that has not been uber impressive. Oregon State was the one game on the road versus their in-state rival, a team that was pretty good last year, and they thumped them. 20-plus point differential. Outside of that, they haven't been incredibly impressive. This is the best defensive backfield. Dylan Gabriel, he's like a point guard out there. He hasn't quite looked how people thought he would so far. You got to remember, this is the guy that led Oklahoma over Texas a year ago when Oklahoma was a big dog, and they came and they upset Texas in the Red River shootout, in a shootout game, largely on the arm of Dylan Gabriel. Incredibly accurate. Hasn't been quite as quick with his decision-making this year. Doesn't have big top-end arm strength. So if you're going to be incredibly accurate without big top-end arm strength, you got to make really fast decisions, which he hasn't quite done yet this year. So I'm curious to see, what does he do? This is their first really big test. I know Boise State pushed them. But what does Oregon look like? What does Ohio State look like? Demo, my man. How you doing, dude? All right, Des Moines Adams just walked in the studio. We're going to talk a little bit more Ohio State, Oregon. I want to get Demo's take on this as well. But this is an individual who was a senior when I was a freshman, the man who was a veteran when I was a pup, lifter of the year in 2002, all-conference type player 2001, led Nebraska in sacks in 2001, started over the course of 3 years for the Black Shirts. Mr. Des Moines Adams, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, appreciate it, my fellow Black Shirt. Excited to spend some time with you. I mean, Husker brothers, all in the same room. I was just coming from my office up in Omaha.
Yeah.
And there was a debate about whose pipes were bigger.
And you were Jake? You were Jake?
No, me and you. And I told them it's the T-shirts that you wear.
Is that what it is?
That makes your pipes.
It's a facade?
It's the T-shirts.
Poke me with the needle. The arms will pop. So here's the deal. You're not wrong. I have a certain type of T-shirt that I like to wear. Okay, I don't like big baggy ones like I did when I was in middle school. I had the big baggy jeans and the holes and the big baggy shirt. I don't like that. I'll never wear skinny jeans. That is just not me.
Yeah.
I need room to move.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to shirts, actually, I'm wearing one that feels really good right now. It's Tackle Cancer by kind of supporting Standing Bear High School, where my kids are going to go and my son currently goes. But when I put this on, I know how I was going to feel this morning. I just saw it for the first time this morning. It's like a little bit of looseness right here, but nice and snug in the arm area, just how I like it, Demo.
So that's interesting because I told my staff I don't feel comfortable with shirts where people have the urge to say, "Oh, you're wearing a medium shirt." But sometimes
I didn't say medium, but go ahead.
But hey, but sometimes we can't help it, right? We can't help it that we still carry on this lifestyle as a football player, which is why we're talking football today.
Yep.
But yeah, so I'm glad that you take pride in your medium shirts.
In my medium shirts?
Because I don't. So today my shirt is loose because I cannot help my pipes. I try to hide them, but sometimes.
Why do you hide them?
Because people like to make fun of us, Adam. You know, I think that's their way of saying, I wish I had guns like you. I think that's what they really want to say.
So for me, it's interesting because it's not even about showing off the arms, to be honest with you. I just like how shirts feel like this. I just like how it feels. And the added bonus, you know, it shows off the pipes a little bit. So for me, like I was 303 on June 1st. I was not happy with that in any way, shape, or form. I had not been working out. So can you see my left shoulder? Can you see it? How high it is compared to the right?
Yeah.
I had a bike accident, really bad. I'll spare you the details. I was an idiot on a bicycle. And a really bad bike accident, ended up going to the emergency room, stopped all the traffic, et cetera, et cetera. And so I had been working out really well. This was June 2 years ago. So about 15 months ago, give or take. And I just stopped working out. Number one, my shoulder was jacked up. It looks like it's still jacked up. It feels okay. But I got really fat. I had a bad diet. Life gets busy. I hated life. I hated how, like, what the scale was saying on June 1st. I'm 278 today. So I've lost 25 pounds.
Wow.
I have ran 0 miles. I've spent 0 time on a treadmill and 0 time on the elliptical. Jake knows this. I lift 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's high reps. Like I'm talking stuff that I would have hated when I was playing. Anything over 8 reps and I whined like a little baby. Like it was, I didn't like it. Now, if it's under 15, I don't know what to do with it. So it's all 15 to 30 reps.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I was walking for 90 minutes. Now in this football season, I'm walking for 60. So I'm doing about 4 miles a day.
Yeah.
And so that's what's helped me. I had no idea what was going to happen with the guns. They're not, honestly, they're not what yours are. Okay. I know it's a big deal to you to have the biggest guns in the room. That matters to you. I'm just happy that I feel better. The shoulder looks jacked up, but it actually feels okay. I feel better. And when I look in the mirror, my middle is a little less vomit inducing. So I'm just happy with that.
Hey, and the most important thing is when you walk around, people still comment, Adam, you look like you still got it.
I always appreciate that, by the way. Even if they're lying, it still makes me feel good.
Hey, it's true. Like, I'm just thinking of the picture me, you, and Chris Kelsey took.
Yep.
I got so many comments on that picture. Like, they all said the same thing. We should be out there right now.
So I'll speak for myself. You speak for yourself. When it comes to me, looks can be deceiving. Okay. I got about 10 plays in me, maybe 15. After that, my 3 days a week walking and not running ain't going to cut it. Do you feel like you could go in and give like 15 to 30 plays if you had eligibility?
If I was to play on Saturday, I would be the best third down rusher.
Oh, that's every DN's dream, man.
Third down. Put me in on third down, coach.
Yes.
Yep. And that's it. Third down, I'm guaranteed to put the pressure, get a sack.
Yep. I like it. My redshirt freshman year, I became like a nickel D tackle. I was so happy. I was like, I'm going to play 15 plays a game. I'm not going to get tired. And all I have to do is rush the quarterback. It was the greatest thing ever. Yeah. Actually, I was reading up on you. You did that your redshirt freshman year. You were right behind Van de Bosch, and that was your main gig, your redshirt freshman year.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your time at Nebraska. And now you're doing a lot with teammates. I want to get into that. You have a show every Tuesday here on the Ticket, 5 to 6 p.m., correct?
Yep.
Check that out, ladies and gentlemen. They've been doing a phenomenal job. I'm going to join Demo at some point. But your time at Nebraska, all right, Coach Solich was your coach. You guys closed your career by playing in the Rose Bowl versus Miami, but there's a lot in the middle there. What are some of the things that stick out to you in your memory bank, whatever it may be? Positive, negative, anything in between from your time at Nebraska? Was it 98 to 01?
It was 98 to 02.
02, okay.
So I would say that the one thing that sticks out to me is Charlie McBride. He brought me in around that time where they learned what the secret sauce was to have a successful defense to win championships. And that was that was speed.
Yep.
They could not get past Florida State. Why? Because they had smaller, faster defensive ends.
Mm-hmm.
I was a part of that. And so to this day, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk Husker football. I would love to get your thoughts on how do you feel about the new defensive ends versus rush ends, which is what we were.
Yep.
But that is what stands out to me. Charlie McBride trusted me as a 6'3", 230-pound rush end to get the job done with my speed.
All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, it's just funny. I wanted to ask you about the rush end title versus the end title specifically. So we're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get your thoughts on Oregon and Ohio State too real quick, but we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive. Always honest answers.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks, exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Tottenham plays West Ham at 6:30 a.m. and then Newcastle plays Brighton at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Arsenal plays Bournemouth at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Man City takes on Wolves, while Liverpool plays Chelsea to try to stay atop the EPL standings. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show, the show that gives you unique insights, unbridled honesty. Producer Jake and Des Moines Adams and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. As always, you can check out the Carriker Chronicles on YouTube, carrikerchronicles.com as well. All right, Demo, Des Moines Adams. We'll talk a little bit Ohio State, Oregon. I might push the majority of that off until tomorrow. I'm going to give fans a quick preview. I'm taking the underdog in this game.
Which is who?
Which is Oregon. Ohio State's about a 3-point favorite.
Really?
But here's a major reason why. I think they're going to play again in the Big Ten championship game. I think Ohio State's going to win that game. I don't see anybody going undefeated in college football this year. And I think this is Ohio State's hiccup, their bugaboo game. Here's the other stat. 8 times this year, a Big Ten team has flown 2 time zones or more to play an opponent. And in those 8 games, the team that has flown 2 time zones or more is 1-7. Who you got? What are your thoughts?
I like Ohio State offense after their last game or two. You know, I too wasn't a big fan of the Ohio State, but when I watched them, I saw both of their electric running backs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going for Ohio State.
So I actually think they're going to win the national championship. I just don't think they're going to win Saturday.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens. Let's get back to what you were bringing up before the break. Because when I first came to Nebraska, when you were here, defensive ends were called rush ends. So the defensive end versus rush end term, I know what that meant to me coming in, but you played under that term longer than I did.
Yes.
What is the difference in your mind between a D end and a rush end?
A rush end is all about perfecting that edge to get to the quarterback. That was your job. Is you don't let anyone get outside of you, but your job is to get to that quarterback to sack him. A defensive end to me is more of a body that's at the end of the line. You know, his job is to get to the quarterback, but that's not his expertise. That's not his craft. For a rush end, you had to perfect that craft, and that's how you got on the field. I think that's the difference. And I would say our defensive ends are doing a great job, but the rush ends, that was the perfection of getting to the quarterback. And that is why we were always the best defense in the country.
Dude, you are the epitome of what I think of when I think of a rush end too, by the way. Speed, coming off the edge, attacking, getting into the backfield and penetrating. Like that's what I think of when I think of a rush end. It's like literally Des Moines Adams. Okay. It's a compliment, right? You're like staring a hole in me. That's a compliment.
But
he's like staring at me. I'm like, that's a good thing, man.
But also, the cool thing is guys like you, Jay Moore, Chris Kelsey, Kyle Van Bosch, we all could run a 4-5. I mean, just think about that. We could all run a 4-5. I mean, so talk about your height, your size, running a 4-5. Man, I'm glad that I didn't have to like block you on kickoff when you were a redshirt freshman and sophomore, but it was about the speed. And I think that's the scary thing when you look at NFL players compared to college. Now, Oregon, I do like their defensive ends. I don't know what they call them, but they're like your size and they bring the speed. And so there's nothing wrong with the formula that the Huskers have right now. But there is something to say about the name rush ends.
I think it sets a tone. Like before I ever stepped foot on campus, I kind of knew what was expected of me.
Yeah.
And then I had guys like you, Chris Kelsey, Trevor Johnson was a junior. I guess Bernard was a leader. He was one of my guys. I don't know if he was a leader at that point in time yet. He kind of took that leadership role the next year more when you and Chris were graduated and gone. Justin Smith, the DN from Texas that you came in with as well. I actually slept on his couch for 2 weeks before I ever got to go into the dorms. All right. But talking about the Black Shirts now, they're playing really good football, top 15 defense in the country.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier this week, we played 24 quarters of football this year. They played 22 really good quarters of football. Okay. And so my question for you, looking at the defensive end spot, because that's what they are in a 3-3-5 defense.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're watching the DNs, because I don't want to say their job is to take on double teams, because you see Ty and Nash and these other guys, Jamari Butler, penetrating into the backfield. I mean, Ty is tied for the team lead in sacks. So it's obviously possible. But what's the biggest difference between what they're asked to do now in the 3-3-5 versus even what I was asked to do, which was more of a 4-3, although there was some under elements, which kind of turned it into a little bit different job description for me. I always went to the tight end side, so there was wonderfully more double teams for me versus being a rush in like when you guys were here.
So I'm going to say this without making it come out as controversial. The difference between today versus back then, defensive ends are getting the job done. Back in the day, we were trained to get the job won.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Oh, explain. I think I know what that means, but explain it to me. Help me out.
If I'm lined up against an offensive tackle, it's not just to rush and to play patty cake. No, we're going to use our hands. We're going to swim move. We're going to grab. Like our job was to dominate, to have a motor. And every time I look at the defense, I'm looking for that motor. They're doing a great job, but it's that motor that we had, Adam. It's to get the job won. It's that me versus me. I'm going to beat me, and that is going to allow me to beat whoever is in front of me, a tight end, a tackle. I would say that's the difference. They're getting the job done.
I see what you're saying. It makes sense.
But we would get the job won.
So how I take that, and it makes sense to me, certain guys are on the field and they're going to do their job. Certain guys are on the field and they're going to make a difference.
They're going to make a difference.
That's what you're saying.
They're going to go above and beyond. And regardless if it's third, fourth quarter, regardless if they're tired, no, that motor is always going until the clock is at 0.
When you were here, you're doing 9-on-7 drills every day versus the O-line, 1-on-1 pass rush. Who was the toughest O-lineman you had to go against during your time here in practice?
Richie Incognito.
I had a
Richie
he was
Incognito.
A pup then too. He was like a freshman then.
You know, to this day, as much as he was one of the nastiest and always would hold and do stupid stuff.
Yes, he did. I can confirm that.
I mean, I can't help but to respect the guy because he had an incredible NFL career. He was what, 6'6", 6'1"? like he held his own.
Mhm.
I mean, every one of us would get into a fight with him, but he would always come back. And Richie Incognito, out of all of the guys, 6 foot, 6'1", whatever it was, I respect the guy.
So most people are familiar with Richie, but Richie, I went against him more than anybody in my career. 3 years here at Nebraska. All right, he was the left tackle, I was the right end, and then I became the strong side end. 3 years in St. Louis till he got kicked off the team there, and then he went elsewhere, and multiple times he was kicked off the team. But by the end of the day, he had played over 15 years in the NFL, 4-time Pro Bowler, and all 4 of those Pro Bowls were after his 10th year in the NFL, after the whole bullying scandal. He had to, and he put himself in that hole, but he had to dig himself out of that bullying scandal hole, and he still made 4 Pro Bowls after that. And here's what I would say, because Richie, very polarizing guy. I know him as well as anybody from how many snaps I went against him? Probably a few thousand. I don't know. Okay. I wish we had a little bit more of that now on our current line. Not all the penalties, but they sometimes go hand in hand. It's hard to shut it down if you're that intense.
Yeah.
Would you take, I don't want to say a little bit more of that because that's obvious. Would you take 5 Richies knowing how they're going to play and the good and bad that comes with that? And I'm talking about personal foul penalties that are going to hurt the team possibly at inopportune times. Would you take them?
Yes, because when I think of offensive linemen back in the day, to me, they were kind of nasty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they would sit in a cold tub and have their dip and spit and just like, man, what are you guys doing?
Yep.
But they were nasty,
Mm-hmm.
and I would take nasty Richie Incognitos any day.
Here's something else about Richie. He started at a center position at Nebraska. He started at left tackle, and then he played 15 plus years as a guard.
Wow.
How many offensive linemen can say they've done that?
No.
Past high school? Not many.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I don't know if this has ever been talked about. When I first got on campus, you were one of the first guys I met. You were one of the guys I looked up to. You, Chris, Justin, Trevor. Okay. I immediately discovered O linemen and D linemen. I don't know if this has ever been said publicly. I'm just going to say it. They all wore the Nebraska uniform. But I'm not going to say they were all the best of friends when practice was over. And I learned that very, very quickly. Is that fair to say?
It is. I mean, because even after a tough practice, especially on Wednesdays, when number 1 offense goes against number 2 on the goal line, I mean, like the friction, like would still carry over into the locker room. I mean, like there were fights in the locker room because just the adrenaline. And so I think that's what made us great on Saturdays, because we practiced like we would play a game.
I remember one time Richie got mad at me during practice, and I saw him like the next day. We're just walking by each other in the hallway. It's pretty obvious he's pissed at me. And I was always taught you never start a fight, but you never back down either.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching him because this is Richie. I'm like, is he gonna like throw hands? Is he gonna do it? And the one thing, he would do it while you're facing him. He's not that guy that's going to hit you from the back. He's not that guy that's going to back down based on who you are. I watched him after you and Chris had left. Within 2 years, I think it was the next year, within 1 year, he had gotten in a fight with all 11 defensive players. The secondary, the linebackers. There was one practice that was him versus all 4 D linemen that started for about a solid 5 seconds before the O lineman came in to help him. And it was him on 4. And I tell you what, I know he was labeled as a bully. To me, a bully is someone who picks on people who are weaker and backs down when someone hits them in the face. No, that wasn't him. Yep. He'd pick on you if you were weaker, stronger, bigger, smaller, more of you, less of you, big name, no name. He didn't care. I always respected that.
Yeah, and you know, I think he brought the best out of defensive players. Like he brought the best out of me.
For sure.
And so to this day, you know, I don't know where Richie is, but I got nothing but love and respect for him, especially as a freshman being a senior. I mean, like he really brought the worst out of us, which brought the best out of us.
Just so everyone knows, he did not attack me in the hallway that day. He gave me one of the dirtiest looks I've ever gotten. But we actually had, because we had just gotten in a fight the previous practice. And so we actually had a lot of respect for each other after that. There was one time in the league, I was sick in a particular game, and I wasn't ready for the pulling guard to hit me. And he put me on my back. He put his hand down and helped me up. I about fell over. I've never seen him do that. All right, Demo, I want to thank you for taking the time to join me. Again, check out Demo's show. What's the official name?
Teammates Timeout with Demo and Ash every Tuesday from 5 to 6.
Check it out right here on 93.7 The Ticket. Till next time, Husker Nation, you say throw the bones, go Big Red. And always remember,
go Big Red.
Throw the bones, baby.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial.